Hey, Rich.
Hey Rich, how you doing?
Whoa, sounds bad on my computer.
What is this song, by the way? What's it called? I haven't found it.
You haven't, it's called Ocean.
Oh,
Let me share it now.
thanks.
Guys, my audio's messing up. I'm going to jump off and come back on my laptop.
No problem. Maybe so we're just waiting for people. Just invite you maybe just to close your eyes and just enjoy the song, turning up the volume, taking yourself back to Portugal. Breathing deep into the belly. Just asking yourself, what would you love to get from today? Sorry. All good. Jose, Philip, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're there. Nice. Rich is coming back. Two people can't make today's call, so it might just be us. How good is that song? Takes you right back, eh? Cool. We'll take a nice deep breath in together through the nose, making the sound of earth. Oh. Another breath in through the nose, making the sound of water. Ah. In through the nose, making the sound of fire. In through the nose, making the sound of air. Ah. It's the one I struggle with the most. I don't know what air sounds like. Something like that. If you find me in this call suddenly like swinging my arms, it's because I have been plagued by this fucking fly that has been at me for like the whole fucking day. And I cannot catch it.
Same
Literally,
as yesterday?
the same as yesterday. No,
There's
I
some
missed that one.
symbolism there, Joel. Like be like water, let it land on you or something like that.
Like that
It's trying
episode
to
from
tell me
Breaking
something.
Bad.
Huh?
It's like that episode from Breaking Bad. There's a whole child's attached
Yeah,
as
yeah, I
well.
think I've seen that one. No joke, like it's the hardest fly I've ever experienced in my life. Yeah, anyway. How's everyone? How's everyone's energy? Up high, down low, medium, medium high. Cool, cool. Before we go into breakout rooms, I'd love to just hear any reflections from the last week. Your action was to take inspired action, even if it didn't make any sense. Has anyone got anything they'd like to share? So
Yeah,
Philip,
I
please.
would like to go because the inspired action is I'm training all day. I'm not doing any other things, but I choose to in the training to be even more myself. And I think I said this last week. I'm bringing a lot of the Portugal version of me in there. And yesterday I received my feedback, and one person said he's a legend, and I was just like, so it was a very long comment, and it's one of the best feedback I've ever gotten. In an environment where they're being treated like kids, they're all like beginning 20s till end 20s or mid 20s, and they're really loving the emotions, they're loving the vulnerability, they're loving the intimacy that we talk about things that are very progressive and free. And I was afraid of that, but leaning into this more I got more back, and I think this is my inspired action every day, just like not minding what was the consequence, but just really being me, and it actually comes back much better than I thought.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Well done. Hugh.
Hello. Something you actually asked me to share in our conversation straight after the last meeting, which was the week before the retreat, I'd been feeling like didn't really have any direction, didn't really know what I was going to be doing next, felt quite directionless just generally, and not really a lot of motivation. So what I actually did was I did one of Jamie's, in fact, it was the final breath work, which was the female guided breath work, which was a 45-minute breath work. I then went and did half an hour's dancing in my gym out in my back garden. And then I went and did a cold swim in our local Lido outdoor unheated pool. And so that took me all the way through to lunchtime. So I did no work whatsoever. And then I came back in the afternoon having like no idea what I was going to do. And I sat down and I just set up a webinar for the first time ever. I'd never done one before. And I just decided that, oh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a webinar. And I set it up and I just threw it out there, thought I'd get 2 or 3 people. I ended up getting 25 people. And from the back of that, I ended up learning how to use the different platform because I've never done a webinar before. So I used something called, can't remember what it's called now, but it was brilliant. It was absolutely good. I streamed it on LinkedIn. I streamed it on YouTube at the same time. I could have done Instagram as well, but I thought that was just a step too far. And I just learned lots of things. And I also learned how to utilize Folk. And I learned how to combine that with Dripify to send out 288 direct messages, which then I got some amazing response on LinkedIn, which I got some amazing responses on those. Pretty much people coming back and saying, thank you very much for thinking of me. And I'm like, I didn't think of you at all. I just automated this, but it's amazing. But it's just, it felt like I was playing Sonic the Hedgehog or some like whatever computer game people play now. And I'd unlocked the next 2 levels. It was unbelievable how it just opened up. And I've got content off the back of that. I've got more credibility off the back of that. I've just got, by doing nothing, by just going off and just switching off completely and just connecting to creativity and passion and flow and whatever else, it just opened everything up. The second thing I'll say is that since coming back from the retreat, I seem to have lost my direction again. I'll be really open and honest. I'm struggling to work out what it is that I should be doing now that I had this amazing burst of creativity and success. It's like, okay, what do I do with this now? So now that I've come back from the retreat. So this morning I thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I did a couple of weeks ago. So I did the 45-minute breath work and I basically cut the lawn, which took a while, cleaned up my Zen garden, Japanese garden and everything, sat in my frozen tub at 7.4 degrees for 10 minutes, absolutely freezing, and whatever. And then it's just been relatively productive. But even if it hasn't necessarily been me going out there and doing things, I just had an amazing enrollment call with somebody. And it just turns out that this person's had almost a very similar life journey to me and is really looking for a coach like me, which is coaching and mentoring as well. And I also went and met some new clients yesterday over in Essex. And I went there with an open mind thinking, I'm not really going to like this. They want more business mentoring, and I'm not into that. But it turned into much more about coaching and mentoring. And it was absolutely fantastic. And I know that I can transform their business. And rather than what I've done in the past, where I've got a retained relationship where I'm taking 5% of the sale of their business when they sell their business, with this lot, I'm going to say I want 10% of the sale of the business because I know the difference that I can make in your business. And all you have to do is get 10% more for the sale, and I'm free. And I know that I can get them triple, quadruple times what they currently get for it. So actually, in a funny way, I haven't really done anything, but the universe has opened up. There you go. That's whatever lesson you want to read into that.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, living in inspiration can actually often feel like that sometimes, where it's like things are just happening. You don't really know how, but the more data you collect of like living this way, the more trust, the more belief you have to fuel this way of living. You know, it takes a lot of breaking old patterns to live this way. Like I've shared before in ECC and in this, like my life kind of feels a little bit like it's falling apart at the moment, you know, a little out of control. And because of that, I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm in the sweet spot. You know, control is very easy for me. When I feel like everything's in control, I'm playing in my wheelhouse. I'm playing in safety. I'm playing in my comfort zone. When everything feels like a little bit, it's like it's falling apart and things are perhaps a little bit out of control, like I know I'm in my sweet spot.
Just another thing, actually, on Monday, I was very conscious that I wanted to create some additional content off the back of, this new level that I'm at. And I didn't get time to do it because I've had lots of other things I needed to do. But one of the things I did was appear on somebody else's podcast. He's made all my content for me because I'm just going to get some of his reels and just use that as content because it was a really positive conversation. Actually, Steve, who's been in this, Steve Wright, who's been in your whatever you call them, days before. So yeah, so even though I set myself the goal almost of setting some content, didn't manage to do it, he just did it for me. It just happened. So there you go.
Love that. Yeah, beautiful. And Richard, tell me, what was your
Yeah,
insight
for
share?
me, I'm deliberately trying to lose control and direction in a way, because if I lose that deliberately, then I've got no safety net and I have to start listening to what's inside, right? So it's like just rely on that. And it's about having a life where whatever I do for a living serves that, not the other way around. I've spent too much time focusing on the job. So what I kind of got in touch with in the past week is that I remembered that in 2000, I was 26 years old when I ran the London Marathon. And I've always had a bit of an itch to go back and do another marathon. And next year in September, I'm 52. So I thought, fuck it, I'm going to run the marathon twice as old as I did last time, and I'm going to do it quicker. And I've just found one online today. I was having a look, and I've entered one which is about 6 days short of my birthday. And it's like, that just
Yes,
felt right.
Richard.
It was totally, instinctive and, didn't make any sense at all. Because I've got to have an operation in February, so but it made no sense. But I just thought, bollocks, do it, and that's what I want to start creating, basically.
Beautiful. Yeah, just really trusting yourself, trusting those intuitive nudges. Beautiful. We're going to go into breakout rooms now, and this will be your accountability buddy for the week ahead. But you'll actually there's one breakout room that's got 3. So just swap numbers where you have that in the WhatsApp group, but swap numbers. And in the breakout room, you're going to share your vision. But the challenge is to go 10 times bigger. That's your challenge, just to play with that 10 times bigger. Okay, so you're going to share what's your vision, and if you can, put numbers to it as well. Like dare to put numbers to it.
So it's a vision for next week, or still our big vision for like the end goal thing, or the
immediate? What I'd say is start with like a 10-year vision.
Yeah.
And then come into your next goal. Okay, so you have like, you'll do 4 minutes each. The team with 3 will do 3 minutes each. Yeah, 3 minutes, 4 minutes each. And so share your big vision, but with both your big vision and your next step towards a big vision, whether that's a year, 3 months, 6 months, it's kind of irrelevant. It's like what's your next step. The goal is to go 10 times bigger. And no one's going to hold you to this. No one's going to arrest you or tell you off if you didn't go after that goal. So the purpose of this is just to play with this and see how it feels. And then if you've got time, talk about who you need to be to create that vision. Okay? So that's also going to be your accountability buddy for the next week. Make sense? Any questions before you go? Cool. And I will, I will say when 4 minutes is up. But the team of 3 just do 3 minutes, and yeah, I'll see you in 8 or 9 minutes, 10 minutes.
We're back.
Hey everybody,
Hey,
was that enough time?
Yeah.
just about, yeah.
Yeah. Love to hear from a couple of you. How was that, the idea of going 10 times bigger on your already existing goals and vision?
My mic's off, so I'll just go. Yeah, it felt good, to be fair, because I was kind of playing, but I also like meant what I said as well. And yeah, it was at the end that actually I just accused my biggest supporter, and I just love him for it. But he's not doing it to like make me feel good. He's being really sincere, and that's why I like. But he was like when I described what I wanted to achieve, it was like that to me is like exactly how I see it and see happening. It was like, but you're still thinking too small kind of thing. And he really means that. So yeah, I guess that's nice to hear. And it's not just like I feel it, I see it. It's also like it feels so big. You're kind of like really, but it's nice to have that reassurance, I suppose. So it was felt strange saying it, but also like I do believe it, even if it feels like scary.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Beautiful. It's nice to have that reflected back. I think who here feels like we're thinking too small? Who else would like to share?
I have a bit of a different feeling about the 10 times because you've already encouraged me to do that. So how many how many times can 10x things? So I think my goal is quite big, and so I stayed with it in a way. I just reaffirmed the 10 times that I had decided already a few weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel happy with that. Yeah.
What
Uh,
if
the
what
other
if
thing
what, what
sharing
if
with
it
that,
was 10 what if it was 10 times bigger?
yeah, what if it was 10 times bigger? No, look, I mean, my goal is to make 1 million in 2025. 10 times?
Yeah,
It's
what
already.
if you removed the year and it was to make 10 million?
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, if I remove the year, yeah, I'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get.
And who would you need to be to make 10 million in your business?
I need to be me, without anything that's dragging me back. So basically, I have quite a big confidence in my ability to do that. But I know that a few things that might drag me back, and I need to be careful to let go of those things that might drag me back.
Beautiful. And what are those things?
Well, things that I shed in the water a week ago, very cold water. Uh, some of them are, well, basically, I mean, the two packages of guilt and shame, which I think are still following me in a way. I mean, hopefully not. Um, and voila, I think fear is less of a problem, I think, for me. And in a way, I feel as if I was censoring myself a little, the past 5 6 weeks, 6 years. And that's what I think I need to let go of.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, we're going to have a whole session on shadow integration in the next 12 weeks. We might do a couple as well because shame is a big part of well, it's a big blockage from integrating all the parts, including the dark parts of us. Because I won't dive into this topic for too long, but I'll just say everything we have in life is because we want it. We get exactly what we want, whether we're conscious or unconscious of it. Even the things that we say we don't want, we actually want. And it's our unconscious part that wants those things that we don't actually want. So a large part of this work of actually having more freedom and getting less of the things that we don't want, if that sounds like it doesn't sound like a double negative, is actually integrating the dark parts of us. There's going to be a whole week or two around shadow integration. So yeah, I'll encourage you to come to that. But let's stay on the vision and goals. And I think, you know, my goal invite in these earlier weeks before we get into the actual practicalities and building out plans and what have you is to really challenge your thinking. And I know you guys know this, but there's one thing to know it and there's another thing to do it. So my goal at the start of this year was to make 100 grand a month, which was wildly ambitious when I look at my last year compared to this year. Wildly ambitious. And I'm not going to do it. But I did a 40 grand, and I think December will be a 50 grand month. And I don't think I would have hit those numbers if I was aiming for 40 or 50 grand. I probably would have hit 20 or 30. But the fact that 100 grand a month was my goal, it made 30, 40, 50 just seem so much lesser. And that's all goals are for me. They're lenses. They're lenses from which you look through life at. They're nothing more than that. I mean, they're kind of a direction and a lens. And, you know, again, I know you guys might know this, but it's one thing to know it and one thing to live it. I live this shit. That's my one biggest difference. I just really believe this stuff and I take action on it. But 10x is easier than 2x. There's a guy called Benjamin Hardy. Who's read the books 10x is easier than 2x? No, it's a great book. Benjamin Hardy's an amazing, but yeah, his in the resources from last week, I put one of his videos and he talks about 10x is easier than 2x. But the reason why, and I touched on it last week, a big reason why that 10x is easier than 2x is because it requires a future-driven mindset shift. 2x, we look at the past and we extrapolate and we look forward. So we go, what have we done in the past? Let's just do it a little bit better. Maybe let's work a little bit harder. But we maintain 80, 90% of our activities. We just improve and tweak a little bit. That's the 2x mindset. And that's how most people live. What's been done, cool, I can just increase that, work a little bit harder, make a few tweaks. But when you start looking at magnitudes of 10x plus, you need to completely change the way you look at things. Because clearly what you are doing to this point would not get you to that point. So you have to rip up the playbook and you have to think backwards. And for most of you, there's another fly that's back. I got the previous fly in the break. Where are these flies coming from? Unless we have like a dead rat under our bed or something.
But the flies is what you want. That's what you're telling us right now, right?
I want these flies. There's a dark part of me that actually likes these flies. That's the fucked up part. Love that, Philip. For a lot of you, you're playing a much smaller game than you're capable of. Because you haven't even entertained, or not even allowing yourself to entertain a bigger game. And I think, certainly for me, no longer anymore, is because I was focused, what kept me from that was focusing on the downside. Like, what if it doesn't work out? That kept me from even entertaining the thought of thinking bigger. What if it doesn't work out? What if I fail here? What if this? And if I look at all of my big quantum leaps in my life and the growth that I've experienced, they have come from my willingness to step into uncertainty and to take risks. And a big reason why I've experienced pretty rapid growth, like I think it's modest compared to some people, but pretty rapid growth, is because I look at what if it does work out. So that allows me to just even entertain the thought. Because the only limit in this is the limit of our own thinking. So I really want to invite you into what if it does work out? Because you're all here. So you've already figured out how to get here. So you'll figure out how to get there. I know it's a very simple statement, but for me, that really keeps me, like when I'm really risking a lot, that really helps me, supports me. You know, and risks I've taken, you know, I've hired a VA before I was ready to. I started running ads before I was ready to. I launched a group coaching program before I was ready to. I increased my prices before I was ready to. I've done so many things before I was ready to. And I've walked a fine line. I have a very high appetite to risk, but all rapid growth sits the other side of risk. And you will have your own level of risk. I'm not saying you need to take on the level of risk that I'm willing to take on. But if you've hit a plateau in your business, in your life, to break through that plateau, you will need to become someone new. You will need to let go of everything, not everything. You'll need to let go of a lot of things that you're currently holding on to. Let go of it and become someone new. And the way to get clear on what you need to let go of is by thinking of in the order of 10x. I remember my very first business, Nutrifix, a food tech business. I had a goal of getting 1,000 email subscribers. It was when I just launched my newsletter. I was like, I'm going to get 1,000 email subscribers. Then I read Benjamin Hardy's article. I was like, okay, well, what if? And I just played with what if. What if my goal was to get 10,000? Well, my current strategy of content wouldn't work because my audience is tiny. Okay, so what? So I'd have to look at partnerships. Okay, what partnerships? And I just started playing with these ideas. And I realized by having a goal of 1,000, I wouldn't even thought of these ideas, that I didn't get to 10,000 in the period that I wanted to, but I got to 3,000. So still 3 times bigger than my initial goal. And I never would have seen the strategies had I not set a goal of 10,000. And that's the power of these sort of 10x goals. They program our mind to see certain things. There's a part of our brain called a reticular activating system, the RAC. Now, guys, I'm sure you guys know this, right? It's why when you buy a Tesla, not that I have, all you see are Teslas. Or if you buy white trainers, all you see are white trainers. That's the reticular activating system. And we can program that to our benefit. Another analogy that Benjamin Hardy uses is slow boiling yourself into the person you want to be. So if you put a frog in water and you put it on a hob and slowly boiled the water, the frog would stay in the water. Hope there's no animal activists here. The frog would stay in the water.
Joel.
Yeah, I know. I'm really going for the animal slaying today. But the frog would stay in the water and you'd boil it to death. Whereas if you had a boiling hot water and you put the frog in to the boiling hot water, it would jump out immediately. And most people are slow boiling themselves into the person they don't want to be. You guys aren't, I know that, because you're on this path already. But my invite is to go 10 times bigger in terms of who you're slow boiling yourself into. Does this make sense? By designing your environment, by just by having the goal, by having the vision, it programs your mind for certain things. Like there's certain things that are happening in my business right now. I had a lunch with a potential partner that could like rapidly increase my business, like in the next 3-4 months. I've got another partner that if that comes off again, it could completely, this is like a 9-figure business, that could completely transform my life and business. I would not have even seen these partnerships if I had not have had my vision. So just by having a bigger vision, we see more. Is this making sense? And the last thing I'll say just on why this works is that it just requires us to raise the floor. And what I mean by raise the floor, it's just our standards. Because again, to get to 10x, most of the stuff we're doing right now will not get us there. 80%, 90%, whatever it is, it will not allow us to get us there. So we raise the floor and we start saying no way more than we say yes. And when you start saying no, when you start raising the floor, your identity changes. Has anyone read Psycho-Cybernetics? It's a really, really great book, all about the self-image. And essentially, in short, it's about you will never outgrow the level of your own self-image. You'll never outgrow the level of your self-image, i.e. your identity. And your identity is made up of your goals and your standards. We're going to go into identity probably next week or the week after, so we'll dive deeper into identity. But you'll essentially never outgrow the level of your identity. And one way to increase the level of your identity is have bigger goals. Like, goals determine our identity, because goals determine what we say yes and no to. What we say yes to determines our identity. So again, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is, we're slow boiling ourselves into the person we want to become. We start saying no way more than we used to. Is this making sense? And like, this I know is very, it's probably stuff that you all know. Maybe it's not, but it's probably stuff you all know. But this is just stuff that I just have trusted implicitly. I really have. And I've bet on myself. I've bet on myself so big, you know, in times that it didn't make sense. You know, investing 10, 20K in coaches when it just didn't make sense to. But I was, in my mind, playing at the 10x level. So it made sense at that level. I was willing to step into uncertainty and let go of the person I am now. And it's a constant process of letting go, becoming, letting go and becoming, death and rebirth, death and rebirth. We're constantly becoming someone new. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Who has any questions, shares? I saw Joe, you had your hand.
Yeah, I was sort of, my heart was beating fast, so that's number one why I was going to share. But I noticed when I was sharing with Richard my 10x vision, I find it quite easy actually mentally to go massive. You know, I was talking about being the most well-known person in the whole of the UK for a certain thing, and building huge breakthroughs, being incredibly rich, having a fleet of yachts, all this stuff. So no issue mentally going there. And yet I still noticed, I guess, a resistance or something going on in my body, and a slight sense of, I'm sure it was embarrassment, but some kind of shame in sharing it, despite the fact there's a part of me that believes that's truly possible, and I can even actually see a path to that and have taken steps towards it in some ways already. But yeah, I just noticed that bodily resistance, and I suppose my gut feel is I'll only truly get to that if my body believes it as well as my mind. So it's one thing being able to think like this, but I need to really feel it in every part of me as opposed to just mentally. So it's not really a question there, or maybe there is in like, how do you align those those mental kind of abstract pieces that I'm quite easily able to get to with my gut, which is going, that feels like the bit that's doubting it and going to stop me actually getting there in practice.
Yeah, I love it. I think again, shadow integration week's going to really help with that, of actually allowing yourself to even have the vision. And this is, I suppose, great segue into the action for this next week is, what is your 10x goal for the Quantum Creator? So we've got another 10 weeks together. What is, if you were to just break down your grand vision into the next 10 weeks, what's your 10x goal for the next? Because it's very easy to think big. It's very easy to think at that scale. Can you then bring that in closer and work to an impossible, outrageous 10x goal in the next 10 weeks, 90 days, 12 weeks?
Yeah.
It's very easy to think big, but actually, right, what's the next 10x goal? And it's not even about achievement. Like, that's what keeps people from even going there. It's like, well, it's about who you become in the pursuit of that goal, what you let go of. It's a thinking exercise, and the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your life. So it's just purely a thinking exercise. Because every time I do this, I find that I'm doing stuff that just doesn't need to be done at all, or I can just delegate it to someone.
Yeah.
So, and then to come to your question of like, how do you believe it more? It's a process. It's a process. Like, I haven't got here overnight. I've like insane amount of belief and knowing right now. Of course, I have moments of doubt. Like, I promise you, I still am riddled with doubt now and again. But it's been a process getting here. I used to doubt myself massively. And I think I said in yesterday's call, it starts with doubting your doubts. That's the first step. It's like, start doubting your doubts. Okay, we've stepped forward a little bit. And then it's just, okay, believe it a little bit. What if I believed it a little bit more? Okay, maybe I'd start, taking more action here. Maybe I'd just say no to that thing, and maybe I would hire that VA, and maybe I would delegate that thing, or whatever it is. So it's just a process. It's not like an overnight thing. You're not going to suddenly believe in yourself tomorrow wholeheartedly and just know that you're going to be a multimillionaire. It's a process, and it's a process of creating identity capital. So like, I almost see myself as like a stock price, and I'm trying to raise the value of my own stock price. Like, how would you raise the value of your stock? How much would you bet on yourself right now? Right, like, honestly, I would ask everyone for a loan that I could and say, bet all your money on me. I'm big. That's how much I believe in myself. But it is how I've got there is by building an insane amount of self-trust, being my word, embodying what I'm talking about, being willing to like lean into discomfort every single day, go to the gym and take myself to the edge, say sorry to my wife when I don't want to, say sorry to Frankie when I don't want to, put myself out there on YouTube when I don't want to. Like, that's how I've raised the stock price of myself. Just by building self-trust, by building that identity capital.
Yeah.
And also like betting on my future self. So I am constantly investing at the level of my future self, not my current self. Every time I invest in my future self, it's fucking scary. Like, I'm dropping 20K on my coach right now. Like, that's actually quite scary. But that's how much belief I have in my future self. Betting on my future self. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it definitely does. On the thinking side and like the impact it will have on my actions, I can already see that I've taken actions that I would describe as not ordinarily bold, but they are 2x, literally. It's like reducing days from 4 days to 1 or 2 day in the corporate, which feels bold. It's like I'm almost out, and that's where I'm going. But if I was 10x, then I wouldn't even accept 2 days. It's done. I hand in my notice tomorrow, which, by the way, I'm close to. So, side note, I like that's. I can see my thinking is changing, because I'm already thinking, even if she offers 2 days, I'm going to say no. So I guess I'm maybe at an order of magnitude higher than I used to be. But yeah, then maybe there's some element of just trusting in the, like, I'm not giving myself enough credit for the speed I'm going at, that like tomorrow I'm running an audio event to 150 people that I've never done before. I've got another Instagram live the day after. Like, I'm constantly actually throwing myself like deep outside of my comfort zone. So it's just another example probably of me being too harsh on myself, just keep doing what you're doing and don't expect to believe that you're going to be a billionaire because you've said it once out loud. Just trust in that, as you say, like the unfolding and the taking the actions, and then it's going to come, rather than just trying to just leap there, because that's impatience rather than big thinking. So
yeah,
yeah,
totally. And I love that, and I just want to talk to that point. Like 10x is not rushed. Like I really want you to hear that 10x is not rushed. 10x is about quality, not quantity. 10x is actually graceful. And 10x picks up pace very, very quickly. Like there's, again, certain things that are happening in my business right now, which I'm just walking towards. And because I've had these grand goals, like I've opened myself up to them, but I'm not rushing towards them. I'm walking towards them. 10x happens, like it can happen very, very gradually. And it's like a snowball effect. And suddenly it's like boof, 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 boof. But it happens by less, and it happens with grace. So yeah, perhaps you're already doing it.
No, that's incredible. What's really helpful, quality rather than speed, is very helpful, because I think my trap is impatience, trying to do everything quick, and sometimes that's what it's felt like. So to focus on the quality and but with ease, rather than like a getting back into that feeling of force, is super helpful. So yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that. There's a let me just Google this really quickly. I'll just tell you the story of, I think it's a Chinese bamboo. I love how many lessons we get from let me just search this here. Yeah, so a Chinese bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. Yeah, it takes 5 years to grow underground. After 5 years, once it breaks through the ground, it will grow 90 feet tall, 90 feet tall, 90 feet tall in 5 weeks. So 5 years to grow underground, 90 feet in 5 weeks above ground. I just think it's a beautiful analogy for this as well. This is not about the doing or the actual achievement. This is about the becoming, who you have to be to achieve that goal. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Richard, I saw your hand.
Yeah, it just clicked while we were talking in today's session. It sort of speaks to the fact that when we sort of articulate a 10x goal, I'm going to be this 10x, the shame kicks in and it creates this shit, you've never said that before. And all of a sudden it creates something that you then think you have to achieve. And one of the tricks for me is, well, I don't have to achieve it. It's just something that I want to achieve. So the best thing I can do now is actually forget about it and let go of it. In a way, it's a weird thing, once you've got a goal, forget about the goal. But you automatically, if you're not careful, create that imperative that you have to do it. And of course, it sets you up for your brain to start keeping you safe and saying, oh no, come back, come back, come back, be safe. So
yeah, I love that. The word that jumped out at me there is play. I think you said play. Like the way you're describing it, kind of, it feels more playful. And for me, 10x just feels more playful. 2x kind of feels more like structured and more stressful. 10x is like, right, let's have a go at this, like let's go for it. And for me, when I've really understood life and business as a game, and that I don't want to sort of say that and diminish like the importance of life and business, right? Or kind of, but it, as Alan Watts says, like it can be silly but sincere, he says. Business for me is a game. So like, why not? Why not go for the 10x? Literally, why not? Why not? And I know this stuff you've heard before, right? And it may sound a little bit cliche, but you just cannot fail. Like, You cannot fail. And you never have failed. You're here, you're alive, you're living. You cannot fail. So you might as well just go for the 10x. Like, why not? Like, literally, why not? If it's more fun, why not? And one thing that's also really, really helped me with this is really getting clear on my needs and actually how few they are. So again, there's a Lao Tzu quote. It says something like, when you realize you have little means, you own the world, or something like that. And, you know, I had a condition 6 or 7 years ago where I'd kind of actually cough in the middle of the night and then wake up and kind of panic and sort of choke. And it was pretty scary, but like I couldn't breathe for quite a few minutes. And I had an episode recently out of nowhere. And it's fucking scary, like, because you kind of think you're on your way to death because you can't breathe. And you're really searching for a breath. And eventually you breathe. And in this recent occasion of it, it was like, wow, that's really all I need is my breath. Like, if we really strip it back, okay, we need breath, we need food, we need water, we need shelter. Like, we're in a very privileged few that have that. So our needs are very little. So we might as well go for the big game. So
So I was going to share something if you don't mind.
Please.
What you're saying is something that really jumped out at me in the retreat that we did. It was that like song, but it was a recording of that person talking about how like the universe been on 13.7 billion years, but the world is like 4 billion or whatever, and it's the length of your span of your arm. Humans are around 200,000 years, and that's like a tiny thing of your fingernail. And that made me like kind of what you're saying. So I was kind of questioning whether to work with Zab or not. And I was just like, what the fuck am I even thinking? Like, I've got one opportunity to make a difference and like what I care about to actually make change. I can't do that on my own. Like just fucking go for it. And I was like, what you're saying, like, what, why, like, why not? And it's literally like, I should, yeah, why, literally, why not? You just live with regret.
Yeah, love that. It's so true. It's a very powerful song, right? And I think you know, when you're playing this game, you know, it comes back to that analogy I talked about at the end of being that ship where just things just bounce off you. When you're playing this 10x game, the rejections from they just don't touch you as much. When you're playing a 2x game and you're attached to the results and you're taking everything very seriously, you hear a no and you're like, fuck, life's over. It's like 10x, it's like, cool, it's one of 100 people I need to speak to. You actually remove the emotions from the game a little bit more. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that because I think 10x is like, for me, it's like becomes so much bigger than me. It's like, how can I take it personally? It's like almost got nothing to do with me in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
10x is like a kid playing football, isn't it? You try stuff that you don't try and it's outrageous, and you say your favorite footballer's name when you're shooting or something, and you just get lost in it. That's what 10x is.
Yeah.
Being a kid dicking about with a football.
Exactly. It's so childlike, this is, you know, the way the kids play, they're so imaginative. And you know, it was Einstein who said something about imagination. Someone help me out. What was his quote about imagination? Something like it was I'm gonna have to search this.
It's a lot more important than knowledge, basically.
Something like that, right? Yeah, you're right. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Yeah, love that. Boom. Well, your action for this week is to make one commitment towards your 10x goal. One commitment. one bet on your future self. And I want you to record a video of yourself as if it was, let me just check the date. So record a video as if it was the 19th of February and you were recording it in the present tense. And you are speaking out loud the goal that you've achieved in present tense. Okay, so it's like, it's the 19th of February and I have just filled my group coaching program with 10 blah blah blah, they paid me this, I feel amazing, and just talk it into reality in the present tense, whatever your goal is. Make sense? Very simple. Keep it to about one or 2 minutes. 1 minute's fine. And if you're really up for it, you could do this every single day of this week, but as if you've done the day. So for example, tomorrow morning, you would say, it's 8 p.m., 5th of December. Today has been epic. I've signed a new client. I've just secured a blah, blah, blah. I turned up. I was full of love, but you're speaking in present tense. Make sense? That's a bonus. It's just an invite. I've done it for a while and it was really, really powerful for me. I don't do it still, but I did it for a couple of weeks. Any questions before we head? Who would like to end the call with a share, their one insight from today?
Before that, sorry, Joel, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Because we now have a new accountability buddy.
Yeah.
The assignment you gave us in a way is very marked in time. I mean, I could do it all tomorrow. So what about the week?
Oh, sorry, that's my wife. Yeah. What, in terms of what to speak to each other in the week?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
just.
mean, I like what you suggested, to have an accountability buddy for the week.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I'll leave that to you guys. Like, if you agree something that would serve you, if there's perhaps the commitment to your future self, like share that with them, and then share when you've done it. Does that make sense? And but also, if there's other ways that you can use that accountability group that benefit you, feel free to use it how you wish.
all right.
If there's something that you're putting off, share it with them and say, I'm going to get this done by next week.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't, I'm going to pay you £200. Put some, like, that's what having betting on yourself and putting commitments out there is like.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Who would like to finish with just their biggest insight from today? Perhaps someone who hasn't shared much.
Well, if nobody goes, I'll go.
Please.
For me, what resonated well is the idea that the past, for me, like what I have, the image I have in my mind is now it's like a really strong elastic, and the 2x, just think about it, it's true. When I think about it, what have I done so far? How can I double it? It's still the post is in the past, which kind of pulls me there because the elastic is stretched already to the present. But what if I put it in the 10x goal? I'm already being pulled there. So it really, that one, I'm not saying it clicked like tomorrow I'll be a changed man, but it really, something did click and goes like, right, makes sense. Because today I talked about present and past and future to the participants, and I was like, yeah, you can't focus on what you've done wrong with 10x. You don't have time for this. Also, what Patrick said is you don't have time for the no. I'm going for 10x. I'm too busy to dwell on the no. With 2x, I'm like, I'm in a room. With the 2x, with the 10x, I'm like out on a field. I don't have time to look at every piece of grass. I just got to move forward, and that kind of helps me as well to see this. I don't have time for no's. I'm looking for the yes at the end of the horizon. I don't have time for this right now. Let's move on. Sorry, I got to go to 10x. Like you catching a really fast train. if you're catching a slow train, you have time to look at everybody in the train. Fast train, you're just going to the same to the final destination. So that really helped me to understand
Love that. Yeah, the analogy of the rubber band was brilliant. Well done. Love that. Yeah. Next week we're gonna really get ready to let go of stuff. This is where things get a little scary. Nice, guys. Look, have a beautiful week. I'll see you in the WhatsApp group and see you next week. Have a
Great to
beautiful
see you
everyone.
all. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
Cheers, everyone.